All right, ladies and gentlemen, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, we are live here in full effect with a Canadian hip hop artist, man. I'm telling you, one of my absolute favorites, the legendary K Cut of Main Source. How are you doing
was
this evening?
I'm I'm good, man. What's good, man? What's good?
Oh man, I first and foremost gotta say, man, it's amazing to have a fellow Canadian in the building, man. You know what I mean?
No
You
doubt.
you did some phenomenal stuff within hip hop, man. And I'm gonna get into that during the interview, but I gotta ask you, man, what made you
Uh,
decide to get into the music industry in the first place?
well, my grandfather was a musician, so that's basically how it all started. You know what I mean? He used to do records back in the '70s, and you know what I mean. It kind of like just trickled down to like myself and my brother. So it was just I guess it's in the blood, man. You know what I mean? So that's how we grew up on music. So once growing up on music, you just want to be a part of what's going on. And when we were growing up, it was just like Run DMC and all of that stuff. So we want to be a part of that too. So that's pretty much how it pretty much started, man.
And as for like Canadian hip hop, like I've had the opportunity to sit down with Chocolare, Half Size Giants. And
Right.
the one thing I want to ask you, because they said Canadian hip hop, it was really hard to actually get your career off the ground here in Canada. I have to ask you,
Mhm.
was it difficult for you to actually get your career up off the ground, just being a Canadian artist?
I mean, the thing about me being a producer and the whole music thing, it actually started because we were born in Canada, in Toronto, but we grew up in New York, so it was easier for us, right? So that was the thing. It was being a Canadian but living in New York when you were a kid. So I grew up in New York like when I was like 4 years old to like I was like 19, and then that's when I moved back to Toronto.
Okay, I actually thought that you grew up in like Toronto and then you just moved across to New York and that's when you guys started Main Source. I actually didn't know that. So in a way, you being in New York really actually was a lot easier because there's everything's in New York.
Yeah, because I mean, New York is like the Mecca, man, and and especially back in those days, it's like you get to hear things that probably wasn't playing in Canada. You know what I mean? And that's the thing for us. It was just like the jump start because the Mecca was like where everything was starting. You know what I mean? You had like the African Bambadas. You had what I mean? All them DJs, in the late '70s to the '80s that were just, doing it around the city in the states, New York City. You know what I mean? So, it's just one of those things, man. Like we were fortunate to be able to grow up, in a place where the thing should actually start. You know what I mean? Excuse my language. You know what I mean? So, we were definitely fortunate to be able to be a part of that.
And also, as we already know, like you were a member of the group Main Source that's based in New York and Toronto. But I have to ask you, can you tell us the story behind the group's formation? Like, how did you and the rest of the members get connected?
Well, myself and Sir Scratch are brothers. You know what I mean by blood, and basically I met Large Pro in high school. A friend of mine that was a friend of his introduced me to Large Pro, and I basically told him like, listen, me and my brother are trying to like put a group together. You know what I mean? And we're looking for MC. So we're kind of like talent searching, like which MCs we can get that was just a dope MC to represent what we were trying to do in the game, because at that time it was just like hip hop was just like under scrutiny. You know what I mean? You had to have like the hottest beats and the fattest MC that could actually deliver. You know what I mean? So when I met Large Pro at that time, like he was actually on fire. Like he had the look, he had the rhymes. So it was just like it was an easy combination for us to connect. You know what I mean? And plus he was into the stuff that I was into in terms of like buying records and like what I mean on the turntables, being a DJ. So it was a force. You know what I mean? So that's how we pretty much connected. We connected in high school.
And also in '91, you guys released your debut record called Breaking Atoms. I have to ask you, what's the story and inspiration behind that record? Because I gotta say that record is absolutely phenomenal and still, man, most definitely solidified within the hip hop culture.
Man, I appreciate that, bro. For real. I mean, for us, it was we were making records that we felt. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, like when we're putting these records together, we had an engineer slash producer that really helped us, with our sound and actually structuring how people hear us now. You know what I'm saying? And his name was Paul C, the late great Paul C. You know what I mean? So he basically helped us along the way, to shape and make us who we are, to this day in terms of the main source sound. You know what I mean? And God rest his soul, he passed away in '89. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was the dude that like basically, put us on in terms of showing us like how to use the SB12 and how to structure songs the right way. You know what I'm saying? So like that was the dude right there. You know what I mean?
And also, Breaking Atoms is actually noted for debuting the rapper Nas. I have to ask you, how did you guys get connected with him? And of course, how does it feel to actually be one of those individuals that actually founded, most likely, one of the best lyricists in hip hop?
I mean, Nas is always like, we say like Breaking Atoms is like, and it's like when you see like the atoms spread, you know what I mean? It's like different music and different artists are coming out from those atoms. You know what I'm saying? And basically Nas is like one of those atoms that was always around us. You know what I'm saying? Like he was like friends of ours. So it was a thing of like, yo, we're gonna do this song, so we're gonna bring our friends aboard, you know what I mean, which was Nas, Akinelli, Joe Fatal, you know what I'm saying? So it was easy to just like say, yo, come in the studio, because those are the dudes that were always around us, you know what I mean, when we were in the studio, when we were making records. So when we happened to do barbecue, it was just like, yo, let's get Nas, let's get Akinelli, let's get Joe, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, it's just like friends from around the way, you know what I mean, that were able to jump aboard, man, you know what I mean?
Like when you saw like Nas actually at work, at live at the barbecue during doing that song, did you think or like have a feeling that he was going to be as big as he actually is today?
I mean, I don't know if we I mean, we were kids, so we didn't know the power and the excitement people were gonna have. We just knew that he was one of those MCs that had something to say. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's a blessing that he trickled off of what we put out, and people were able to gravitate to him. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, like again, it wasn't to me it wasn't a surprise, but it was just like you always keep yourself around people that have something to say and that have great lyrics and can spit. You know what I mean? And that's something that we've always been lucky to have people and our MCs that were just like fire at that time. You know what I mean?
And also, yourself and your brother Sir Scratch actually created another group titled New Era. I have to ask you, what made you guys decide to create New Era?
New Era. We had a group called New. It wasn't New Era. Um it was called the New Crew, and that was before Main Source. Before we even figured out Main Source, we had an MC that was related to Melly Mel, and this was like '87. You know what I mean? So it was one of those things where we had one of those kind of MCs, and it just didn't work out because we were looking for something different, and he was going in a different direction. So we just figured we part ways, and that's when I linked up with Large Pro in high school. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, that was early on before Main Source, the New Crew.
And also, back in the early '90s as well, you actually did some extensive production work with people like the likes of Queen Latifah, Kid Frost, but one that really stood out to me was Maestro Fresh Wes, Canadian legend, man. I have to ask you, how did you get connected with Maestro Fresh Wes?
It's funny because we were just finishing up the album, and it was, I guess it was just like friends of mine and friends of his. They contacted me in New York when I was living in New York at the time, and they were like, "Yo, we're getting ready to do this project, and yo, Maestro's like the biggest thing in Canada, and we want you to be a part of it because we love what y'all are doing." So I had went up and met with Maestro, and we just connected, you know what I mean? And from there it was just like, that's how you got like the Black Tie Affair, and I produced like probably like 9 songs off the album, you know what I mean? So it was good times that when we were doing that record, man.
And speaking of producing, you were actually a mentor to Toronto-based producer named Watts. I want to ask you, what made him actually what made you decide to be a mentor to him?
I mean, Watts is like my little brother, man. Like, I when I met him and I heard what he was doing, it was just like, yo, he's incredible. So it was just like, he lived in Hamilton at the time, so it was just like, yo, come up to the house, man, and just, let's just rock out and do some beats, and let me see, like, who I could pitch it to, and like from there it just started to, the trickle effect where people were like, yo, this kid is crazy. So he ended up doing, some records with me, Jack Soul and Foxy Brown. We did a joint for Foxy Brown, and we did another record for, oh my God, we did a song called Jingling Baby for, what's his name? Damn. I forget the dude's name, man. He's one of them like known MCs, man, in New York, man. He was signed to Def Jam. I can't even, damn, off the top of my head, man. It's crazy, but yeah, man. Like he started to get some work, and then from there it was just like, you know, he just branched out on his own, and then he started his group called Electric Youth. But yeah, he's a good dude, and like I just, it's just like when people, you feel their vibe, it's just like you connect, and it's just like, yo, just come aboard, let's just, work together, you know what I mean? So he's a great powerful dude, man, in terms of what he can do in his production and stuff.
And also, when we're still on the topic of production, you actually had the opportunity to do some production work for the late great Big Pun. I have to ask you, how did you get connected with Pun? And of course, like, what was it like actually working with the legend Pun?
Pun, Pun is so amazing. Like he was a beautiful person, and he was funny, and he was just outgoing. He was a dude, and he was a lyricist, and he was just an incredible artist, man. I got connected with him through my cousin Rashad Smith, and Rashad is the dude that did Busta Rhymes Woo Ha, and he did like LL Cool J Dangerous and stuff like that. So basically, long story short, I was a part of Tumbling Dice, after Main Source broke up, and then I just rocked with my cousin, and he was doing all those records, and then he basically was like, "Yo, we have an opportunity to do a song for Big Pun," because he spoke to Fat Joe, and Fat Joe had like this joint that I had put together with this Janet Jackson sample, so it was just like, "Yo, y'all come in the studio and just put it down," and Pun was there, and he put it down, and that was the song, man.
And I have to say, I've heard countless stories that people were actually like scared to actually like do a song with him because they knew he was going to overtake them within the track.
Oh wow, yeah. I don't know anything about that, but um, it's funny because the story with that song was we didn't even know they were putting it on the album because after he passed away, you know, Fat Joe was talking to my cousin, and he was like, "Yo, Rashad, we want to use that song," and then we were like, hell yeah, that would be an honor. I mean, like to just, do the song on his album. You know what I mean? So basically, they had to go to Janet Jackson and get the rights, and Janet Jackson was like, "Yo, I approve of the song. The song is incredible." And then we had Ashanti sing on the track, so everything came together like glue, and it was on Endangered Species, man, and that was one of the songs that were, you know, that people really talked about. You know what I mean?
And first and foremost, before I move on, I have to say rest in paradise to the late great Big Pun. Gone, but most definitely never forgotten.
No doubt, for real, for real.
And I also noticed, and I want to touch base on this because a lot of people do not know that this individual was actually a hip hop artist back in the day. But I want to put them up, put our list, some of our listeners that don't know up on some game. You did some work
Mhm.
with the amazing, you know what I mean, the whole dunk on your head, Shaquille O'Neal, man. I have to ask you, like, what was it like actually seeing Shaquille O'Neal, like, actually just in the booth doing some music?
First and foremost, Shaq is like probably one of the most talented. Um, he's a talented athlete. He's an amazing athlete, but not only an athlete, like he's a lyricist, man. And that's what a lot of people think. Like these basketball players, they're just doing it for like fun, and they're not like rappers or whatever. But actually, Shaquille was a real rapper, man. Like that dude would just sit there and just rhyme. You know what I mean? So like he's one of those dudes that you just gotta be like, all right, man. Like you have mad lyrics, man. So he's definitely one of those dudes that he's very fun. He's very like outgoing. He's very like he knows what he wants in the studio. You know what I mean? So he's not like one of those clown rappers that you write lyrics and then you let him rhyme on it. Rhyme on the beat. He's actually a lyricist, man. That can actually rhyme. So rocking with Shaq, it was just incredible, man. Like he's kill, man, because yeah, he definitely puts it down when it comes to rhyming and stuff.
And I remember like his album, I think it was like 92, maybe 94, maybe 93 Criteria. Shaq Diesel. I remember that album actually went platinum, man. And that's
Yeah,
crazy to have your first record go platinum.
yeah, man. That was when it went platinum, man. I was just like excited, man, because like you said, it was the first platinum record I ever had, man. So it was just an honor to be on, that album with other, producers like, Ali Shaheed from A Tribe Called Quest, and like Eric Sermon from EPMD. You know what I mean? And a whole bunch of others, man. It was at the time. It was the timing, and it was great timing. It was just like great that people really accepted him as an MC. You know what I mean? Especially in the hip hop community. You know what I mean? Because a lot of MCs are like, yo, you're not an MC, or you know what I mean. So they really accepted him. You know what I mean? And gave him mad love, and it was really a good time and a really great record, man. So I was really proud of that album,
And also jumping ahead quite a few years there, on February 1st,
man.
2017, Main Source actually reunited to perform at New York City's Sound of Brazil event. I have to ask you, what was it like actually being together after all those years and just doing that event?
It was amazing, man. I mean, like the thing about us is just like although we weren't together for so many years, and when we hit that stage, it was just like glue. Like it was just like we never broke up. You know what I'm saying? And we knew what to do. We knew what the people wanted. You know what I mean? So it was just a great magical time. To be able to do the reunion show. You know what I mean? And then from the reunion show, we went off and we did like a tour, and then we were on the road for the last for 3 years after that. You know what I mean? Just performing together. You know what I mean? So it was a good time, and it was it was for the people. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people are like, yo, are they ever gonna get back together? Are they gonna, you know what I mean? So when we got back together, it was just a special thing, and it was like a sold out show in New York City. So it was a good thing, man, that we did for the people and for the fans and for the culture. You know what I mean? For hip hop culture. You know what I mean?
And I have to ask you, Kid Cut, what's next for you? Is there anything you want to promote? Any new projects? Anything that you currently have going on that you want our live audience to know?
I'm just right now. I'm working on a lot of things because we just got through doing the Patrick Ewing main source sneaker that came out about a month ago. So that was in the works. So with me, I'm just working on a record right now, which is going to be my solo record, and the solo record is basically about music. You know what I'm saying? Like it's for the heads, it's for the culture, it's for the people. You know what I mean? And I've always been about that, like for the people and like the community, the hip hop community, and people that like just nod your headbangers. You know what I mean? You just want to be in your car and you just want to just thump to drums and beats and just like good music. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm about, and that's what I'm working on right now. So I'm in now that it's like it's weird because we're at a crazy time right now where there's COVID. I have a lot of time to like experiment and play around with things and be able to find certain things that would go. And I'm just gonna take my time with this record. But when I'm about to, when it's about to drop, it's gonna be crazy, man. You know what I mean? And I'll probably have a few guests on it and some interest, and definitely some interesting things on this record to look for. So just stay tuned. I mean, everybody, just link me on my Instagram and they can follow me. K_CUT, and they see everything that I'm doing. And they see everywhere I'm going. You know what I mean? And they see everything that I'm playing because I usually drop like breaks and stuff like that sometimes, and just like inspiring, other, producers and artists and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's just like that's what I do, man. You know what I mean? A journey. It's a journey.
And I have to say, K Cut, quickly before we wrap this up, I got to say thank you so much for taking the time, just out of your busy evening, man, and your busy schedule, to come on
Uh,
97.7 Outlaw Radio FM, man. It was truthfully an honor, most definitely a privilege, and it's always an honor to have a fellow Canadian actually on the radio station.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you for having me, and thank you for building, man. This is great, man. I always like to give back to the people, man, and for the community and the love of hip hop, man. So it's all love, man. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you, bro.
You are most certainly welcome, and stay safe out there in Toronto, man. Hopefully this COVID-19 stuff ends soon, and we
Oh
can
my,
all get back to doing appearances.
I know, right? I know, man. Trust me, man. You too. You be safe as well,